The following episode is explicit and is intended for mature audiences. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, it's Nathaniel and Avila. I'm here with Kat, another cat.
Their names are Ghost and Simon. As you know, there's already been record of me asking him to say their names, and him not agreeing. Well, he would agree. He's like, he agrees and then he doesn't do it. So.
And who are you?
Oh, I'm Clara Avila.
Okay. And where are you located?
Also reporting from Dallas County.
Okay, cool. All right, so what do we do here?
Welcome to the next episode. I don't know what episode number this is. I stopped counting.
Okay.
Welcome to another episode of The Devil in the Details, where we talk about all things Helluva Boss and Hazbin Hotel.
Okay. Yeah. Who are we talking about today?
Oh, we are continuing our little delve into Lucifer's background. Can you not eat?
The thing is, after we're done with, we finished the canon, and now we're on the non-canon.
Everybody can hear your chewing and your muffled voice. Yes, we're on to the non-canon now.
Let's start with some news.
All right, let's hear it.
First news, Bivsy is really hyping up season 3.
That's right. That's what I hear.
And she says that the songs are absolute bangers. And we haven't gotten season 2 yet.
So I wonder what season 2 is going to be like. If we're already talking about the banger songs of season 3.
Bivsy is like, season 2, garbage. Season 3 is where it's at.
Season 2, guys, forget about it.
You know what? Let's just skip season 2 and go straight to season 3.
All that stuff you were looking forward to in season 2, forget it!
We're doing season 3.
We're straight to season 3, missing a bunch of plot stuff, but that's fine, not important.
Yeah. Baxter, he's an anglerfish. What else you want? And then that's it. That's all I got for you.
All right.
So
I don't keep track of the news. So
I know
that
the voice actor who plays Emily is already recording lines, so that means that the scripts are already locked for season 3.
That's very. I guess they're like, we just finished, like, they finished like a bunch of stuff for season 2, so they're like straight to season 3 already.
Yeah, I guess they should. I thought they were just animating it. They were still animating it.
What, season 2?
Season 2, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess you don't really need. You don't need the voice actors if you've already got it animated.
They haven't animated. I don't think. Really? Are they done animating it?
Well, I mean, like you record their lines and then you animate it with the lines.
They might just be on the music, like doing the soundtrack, maybe.
Maybe.
And getting all that stuff done with A24 and Prime.
Yeah.
And then there's there was this other guy who I think he was one of the head writers at Spindle Horse, who says that season 3 is the best season out of everything that they have ever done.
Oh,
and he was explaining what was the one, like, if you can say it, describe it in one word, and he said revelation.
Revelation.
So that means we're probably going to get some tie-in to the Book of Revelation. What do you think?
I think that very could well be the case.
Do you think we're going to see the 4 Horsemen?
Maybe.
I'm a big 4 Horsemen stan.
I think it'd be interesting. I'd like to see Vivsy's designs for them.
Well, who's your favorite horseman?
My favorite, Pestilence.
Why?
I don't know. Why not?
Mine is
Who's
Steve.
your favorite? Steve is not one of the 4 horsemen.
Mm-hmm. If Pestilence is your favorite horseman, what color horse does he ride?
Man, I don't know. Green?
That's what I thought.
What color is it?
I don't remember.
We'll see.
I know the colors are white,
pale.
Or is that the same?
Oh,
I don't know.
Pale and white might
black
be the same
and
one.
red.
White, something, black and red. Yeah. Hold on. Google.
Death is the pale horse.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's the white horse. And war is red. And I want to say what was the other one? Black? The black horse is, I want to say.
Yes, it's pale.
So it's white, pale,
It's white, red, black, and pale.
Okay, what's the difference between pale and white?
I think pale is I'm seeing a depiction of it, and the pale is just sort of like a greenish color.
Okay, why do you call it green?
It could be green. It could be like I think it's like a yellowish, greenish. It could be either one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess pale is because. It, when you're sick, you're pale.
Okay.
Maybe, or when you're dead, you're pale. I don't know what horse, who rides what horse.
And what was the other one? Disease? Famine.
No, it's
Black is famine.
This says that it's conquest, war, famine, death. Conquest, war, famine, and death. Those are the horsemen, apparently. The white horse. Who's on the white horse? The White Rider. Which is who? I don't know.
Okay, well, let's just talk about Lucifer.
Let's just talk about Lucifer.
Okay, so let's talk about him in the non-canon.
Yes.
What do we think about him in the canon? What's his personality? What's he like? Is he really cool?
I mean, Lucifer, from what we've seen and what we've talked about, he's honestly pretty lame.
Why?
Why? I mean, he's supposed to be the ruler of hell, but he's just spent like 7 years locked away inside his tower making rubber ducks, and he doesn't even know how to talk to his own daughter.
And then he rebuilds the hotel for her.
Yeah, he rebuilds the hotel for her. He's very much got that dad energy, In
a good way?
In a way that is like he seems a lot more personable than what you would think the ruler of hell would be.
Let's see how he fares in the non-canon.
Well, we've already seen some of him in like some other non-canon discussions, and we already know that he's pretty different.
That he's pretty cool.
No.
I like how he bullies Blitz.
Yeah.
So his personality throughout this story is very unpredictable. Right? At first he comes across as narcissistic and indifferent, yet he exudes a flamboyant, over-the-top presence that perfectly suits the sin of pride. He commands attention wherever he goes, though much of that is thanks to his bumbling lackeys, Corey and Peel.
Oh, great. Corey and Peel. Just like Key and Peel.
Okay.
No.
Making a loud spectacle of his arrival. Now, back in heaven, he was like an overzealous theater kid, treating life as one big musical where he's always the star. In hell, he embodies a fearsome ringmaster, but beneath that intimidating exterior, he's also a ridiculous, mischievous, and extravagantly theatrical showman. He relishes in chaos and playfulness, but is, at least initially, comically unsupportive and outright antagonistic towards his daughter.
Comically unsupportive. It's so funny when he tries to kill all of her friends. That's so comical.
I don't even remember why. I don't even remember why he wants to kill all her friends.
I don't either.
Now he actively tries to sabotage the Hazbin Hotel, refusing to let her, meaning Charlie, offer heaven his darned souls on a silver platter. However, when his grand vision of transforming hell into a whimsical, chaotic playground ultimately falls apart, he is forced to confront his own failure. His realization crushes him, sending him into a spiraling depression. He becomes aimless, dejected, and far less domineering. Yet, despite everything, Charlie continues to reach out to him. Her persistence shifts his perspective, leading him to relinquish his self-absorbed pride. In the end, he redirects all of that arrogance and grandeur towards something new, finding his greatest source of pride, not in himself, but in his daughter. Isn't that nice?
That is very nice.
Okay. So, in heaven, Lucifer started off as a charismatic, wide-eyed dreamer, Part theater kid, part composer. Overflowing with grand ideas about humanity's free will. Now, he was fascinated by the ways they might use it, particularly in how they could creatively devote themselves into worshiping him.
Right.
Isn't that doesn't sound very like what they did in Hazbin Hotel, right?
No. But we don't know the full story. Maybe that is what happened. We just don't hear it.
I don't know, it'll be a really cool place of conflict.
Can you stop eating?
I'm hungry.
You should have eaten something before we started recording. Keep going.
So, now even before the war, his vanity and narcissism were evident, though he remained blissfully unaware of how his self-centered nature affected those around him. While not inherently evil at this stage, he was a dramatic, controlling perfectionist who failed to recognize his own shortcomings. He convinced himself that everything he did was for the greater good, yet in reality, he was imposing impossible expectations on those around him and harshly condemning anyone who failed to meet them. Charged with bringing joy to heaven's inhabitants, he instead pushed his own distorted version of happiness. One that revolved entirely around admiration and praise for himself.
Yep.
Now, over time...
That sounds like a theater kid.
Yeah, and then Charlie's going to be like, how dare you? You were actually a piece of garbage. You weren't kicked out because you stood against the system.
You were kicked out because you sucked.
And then he's like, I don't want heaven. I don't want you to get busted by heaven like I was. I'm the victim.
I'm the victim. And in the end, I'll do it all over again. That's how the song goes, right?
I guess. Now, over time, a slow but insidious corruption took hold of Lucifer as he began to see God's growing love for humanity as a direct challenge to his own importance. At first, he reacted like a melodramatic scorned theater kid, sulking as if he just lost his lead role in a musical. He childishly insisted that his music and artistry far outshined anything humanity could create, refusing to accept that they could never be worthy of God's affection. Now, his obsession with himself deepened into a petty resentment toward humanity, especially after God decreed that all angels must love and redeem mankind, even after they have been tainted by the root of evil's corruption. Root of evil, or Rue is a different character.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing humanity's potential for good, Lucifer fixated solely on their flaws. Despite still being God's favorite and adored by angels, he convinced himself that he was being cast aside and unappreciated. In his warped perception, he decided that God had grown senile, believing that he alone was fit to guide the universe better than his father ever could.
Dang.
As Raphael bluntly put it, and I quote, he was the ugly duckling of the family, but like on the inside. And then he's like, duckling.
No wonder he likes ducks so much.
Mm-hmm. Now, a master of manipulation, the young prince expertly preyed on the emotional wounds of his fellow angels, twisting their pain to serve his own ends. He had the talent for charming and exploiting those in distress, reminding them of their deepest traumas, whether it was the loss of loved ones or the burden of soldiers who had perished under their command. With those calculated tactics, he slowly turned once loyal warriors against their brethren, persuading them to abandon their former allegiances and pledge their loyalty to him instead.
Yeah.
Isn't that scary?
That sounds accurate to what happens.
Now, at this point, Lucifer spiraled into a near-total madness, seeking to his absolute lowest. Without hesitation, he gave the order to kill his own brothers at Satan's suggestion. So Satan's doing stuff, I guess. showing no remorse as he personally oversaw the slaughter of countless God-fearing men, women, and children during the devastating War in Heaven.
Dun dun dun.
However, his insatiable hunger for power and boundless arrogance ultimately sealed his fate. In a swift and crushing defeat, he was effortlessly overpowered by the almighty Archangel Michael and cast down to the depths of hell.
Dang it, Michael.
Along with legions who had followed him into rebellion. After his exile, Lucifer gradually lost the fire that once drove him. Without a grand purpose, he drifted aimlessly, seeking ways to entertain himself to stave off his growing disillusionment. Yet, even after his fall, he retained enough of his signature charm and charisma to captivate Lilith, despite her cold and guarded nature. His nerdy ambitions and lively spirits intrigued her, and he, in return, showed her genuine care. In her darkest moment, he lifted her up, offering not just friendship, but an escape from the dull, miserable life she had known on Earth.
Ooh.
So, Lucifer is an eccentric and self-indulgent showman, equal parts goofy and menacing. He thrives on theatrics, carrying himself in an air of regality.
Regality.
Yeah, while ensuring no one feels entirely at ease in his presence. Easily bored and endlessly creative, he treats hell as his personal playground, a chaotic circus where nothing truly matters beyond his own whims and grievances. In this spare time, he delights in creating whether it's bizarre inventions, sentient beings of his own design, or elaborate theme parks. Despite his royal title, Lucifer has little interest in traditional decorum. He openly indulges in whatever amuses him, from singing and crafting seemingly pointless contraptions to feasting on junk food, especially candy corn.
Oh my gosh.
And reveling in polka music.
No!
He refuses to call himself Hell's King, preferring the title of Ringleader. Since in his eyes, the underworld is nothing more than a grand circus. Lucifer also exhibits particular tendencies such as dehumanizing sinners by calling them quote-unquote freaks, and likening human souls to children's bath toys. Fragile, silly little things he finds endlessly amusing. His over-the-top personality and lighthearted demeanor is often misled newcomers into underestimating him, mistaking him for a bumbling, carefree ruler, but beneath the playful facades lurks the mind as sharp as it is impeccable.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts?
I think that there is a bit more of the non-canon in the canon Lucifer,
really?
Personality-wise. Just a bit more than what we've seen from the previous non-canons. Because I am getting, like, he definitely has those hints of, like, just playful, you know, doing whatever he wants to do, not really caring about this whole title thing. Just, like, being carefree. And then, like, that whole, like, you know, like, depression, doesn't know what to do. Like, that's in there, too.
Yeah, but
We're just missing that more conniving ruthlessness to him.
to me, like, the depression part doesn't start until before he meets even Lilith, before Charlie even comes in the picture.
What?
Yeah, because in the non-canon, he gets all depressed because he was cast out of heaven.
Yeah.
And he doesn't snap out of it until he meets Lilith.
Yeah.
And then he has Charlie, and then he's not depressed anymore.
Yeah.
And he seems to be more of like a Toby type guy from
Who's
Naruto.
Toby? Oh, Toby. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Where he's supposed to be like, I'm a goofball, but secretly I'm an evil mastermind.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen the I'm secretly an evil mastermind part.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Where he's all like, I just wanted what's best for my daughter. But in this one, he's like, I don't care about my daughter.
Yeah, that's what I'm
that.
saying. I feel like the parts were in the beginning when we first got into the non-canon. There was a part talking about how his plan, his grand scheme for hell, like, fell apart, and then he got, like, super depressed, and then Charlie kept reaching out to him, and then, like, he came to more, like, understanding her.
Oh.
That feels kind of like where we started.
Okay.
In Hazbin Hotel.
Yeah, and then also the non-canon and the canon seem to be different in terms of what Lucifer's time in heaven is.
Yeah. But then again, we only know what Charlie has talked about from that storybook.
Mm-hmm. Which probably Lucifer
wrote. Is
Is
probably not quite as accurate.
He might be an unreliable narrator. I think that would be a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because the non-canon seems to focus more on what is seen in the Bible and also what is seen in Paradise Lost, the book, the novel. Where Lucifer is like... thinks that he should rule hell, or thought he was being replaced by humans, and then try to overthrow God with the rebellion and all that kind of stuff. So we haven't seen that in the canon, but maybe we'll see it in season 3.
Maybe,
because that has the rebellion stuff. Maybe we'll see Saint John in the third season.
Saint John! Wow, maybe.
You think so?
I don't know.
And then Saint Peter is like, I was crucified upside down.
Yep.
And then Saint John was like,
talk about that, sure.
I'm the only one who died of old age.
Old age.
Everyone else died painful deaths.
Okay.
So Lucifer carries himself like someone who has seen it all, completely unfazed by the wackiest, most outlandish situations life throws at him. He is so desensitized to absurdity that he treats the bizarre just another Tuesday, as casually referencing ridiculous past events as if they were mundane. Whether it's hinting at the time he taught penguins to play the accordion or reminiscing about fiddle contests with humans, which we talked about in the last episode.
Yes.
But the devil goes down to Georgia.
Yes.
His offhand comments suggest a life filled with serial escapades that are never fully explored.
Oh,
ironically,
yummy.
Okay. Ironically, it's surreal as well.
Oh, surreal. So you're just saying things wrong again.
No.
Yes. Keep going.
Ironically, he's the only secondary character these wild exploits always happen off screen. Leaving audiences with mere glimpses of his chaotic adventures. Instead, most of his actual screen time is spent dealing with Charlie in the Hazbin Hotel.
That makes sense.
Situations that, to him, are dull, everyday affairs of his otherwise extraordinary existence.
Brutal.
Now, both sinners in Hell's nobility recognize Lucifer as a reclusive and indifferent ruler, rarely seen outside his castle or Lulu world, where he isolates himself in the pursuit of amusement. He neglects his royal duties entirely, convinced that hell can run itself without his intervention. As a result, the Pride Ring has spiraled into lawless chaos. Its streets littered with corpses, Clara.
Yep.
Crime running rampant. Why? How are there corpses in there? They're all dead already.
I don't know.
Crime running rampant, debauchery unchecked, and the air thick with the stench of decay and burning ruins.
Maybe it's the imps.
Yeah. Now, Lucifer's apathy is deeply rooted in his disdain for hell itself. He holds nothing but contempt for the wretched domain he rules, Clara Sama, openly expressing amusement over his title as its king. To him, hell is nothing more than a poop hole, unworthy of being considered a true kingdom. Instead of governing, he retreats to the circus or Lulu world, both places designed solely for his own entertainment, detaching himself as much as possible from the reality of his realm.
Dang.
At the core of it all, Lucifer shares an uncomfortable truth with the very quote-unquote freaks he rules under. He, too, is a prisoner of hell. No matter how much he tries to escape into his distractions, he remains bound to the other world, just like everyone else.
Yep.
So what do you think? We haven't seen the Lulu world.
If you're gonna talk, don't shove things into your mouth. We have not seen Lulu World, no.
No, do you think we'll see it?
Maybe in season 2, maybe in season 3.
I mean, don't they already have like another amusement park in Hell?
Yes, it is Lululand,
And it's spelled differently.
with 2 O's, which is Mammon's cheap, cheap ripoff.
So you think Lululand is a ripoff of Lulu World, which is located in Pride?
It is.
Okay.
They literally say that it is.
Okay, so Lululand is confirmed in the canon.
Yes.
Okay, so we haven't seen it for real, but it is confirmed.
Lulu World.
Lulu World is
Yes,
confirmed.
because in the episode where Blitz, Stolas, Octavia, and Moxie and Millie go to Lululand, there is a part where the robotic Fizzarali is reading a contract thing that states that Lululand is in no affiliation with Lulu World.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we know it's there.
Okay, but we haven't yet to see it. And it looks like
we haven't seen it,
Lucifer, he doesn't really hang out there as much, even if it is there.
Yeah.
It looks like he mostly stays in his palace.
Mostly stays in his palace, it sounds like.
Yeah. In the canon. Not in...
Though he does sometimes go to Lulu World, but probably not as much as when he first made it.
Yeah, we haven't seen him actually go to Lulu World, though.
Yeah, no.
In the canon. And also there's this mention of the circus, which we have not seen.
No. But we do know that the other deadly sins are sort of representatives of different sections of the circus.
Yes, there's the Ringmaster, which is Lucifer.
Lucifer's the Ringmaster.
Belphegor is the fortune teller. Osmodeus is the fire breather. Beelzebub is the... Yeah, he is.
I thought Asmodeus was like the acrobats.
No, he's the fire breather.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he has like a fire mane.
Yeah, he has a fire mane, but he's also lust. So that could be like the acrobats and the dancers.
I'm pretty sure he's the fire breather.
Well, why don't you look it up?
Like the passion of the fiery passion.
Why don't you look it up so that we know for certain?
Let me just finish listing this off.
Yes.
So Beelzebub is the lion tamer.
That's right. The beast tamers.
The beast tamers. Who else is there? Mammon's a clown. And Leviathan is...
I don't know what Leviathan is. And Wrath is the
Satan's the
strong
strong man. Satan's the strong man.
Yeah.
And Leviathan is...
something. What else is in a circus? Is Leviathan the acrobats?
The tent?
The Leviathan is the tent.
Yeah. Because I know in the book of Revelation, Leviathan is supposed to be like... The God was supposed to kill Leviathan and make his skin into a tent where everyone will feast on his flesh or something.
So maybe Leviathan is the tent.
I don't think
Let's find out.
Hazbin Hotel. Deadly Sins.
Look it up.
I'm doing that.
I know.
Deadly Sins Circus.
Yes. Who is what? Tell us.
Okay. Okay, this person says Asmodeus is the magician, even though I don't think that's true.
Oh, I don't think that's true either.
Yeah, this was done last year, so this is before Belphegor and Leviathan and Satan made their appearance. So I don't think that's entirely accurate.
I guess we don't know for certain.
It's around here somewhere.
I feel like there's definitely been a moment where Vizzy made the whole list and was like, "This is who everyone is in the circus."
Yep. Let me see. It's around here somewhere.
Yes, we're divulging into unintelligible nonsense as we attempt to find this thing.
I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
Okay, so Lucifer often gives the impression of someone completely oblivious to social cues. Mm-hmm. Brushing off adversity with his devil-may-care attitude. This is most evidence with his deteriorating relationship with Lilith, despite her increasingly hostile behavior, bordering on outright attempted murder, and her refusal to communicate. He remains more entertained than genuinely hurt. Rather than taking the hint, he persistently tries to reconnect with her, seemingly unfazed by her aggression. His repeated attempts to reach out only lead to increasingly ridiculous and disastrous situations. Yet he treats each failure as just an amusing detour rather than a reason to give up.
Dang.
What do you think?
That is... Ooh, that's not good.
Well, in the canon, Lilith leaves Lucifer and then he's just sad about it.
That's right. In the canon, she just goes to heaven, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Now, despite the passage of centuries since his time in heaven, Lucifer remains astonishingly childish and repellent. When faced with adversity, he often responds with explosive tantrums, hurling profanities and lashing out violently, especially when his ego is bruised or he feels the loss of control. At the same time, he can be just as easily entertained as he is enraged. The mere promise of sweets can send him into fits of giddy excitement.
Wow.
His love for childish indulgences is almost comically extreme. He delights in riding around in a tiny tricycle, getting lost in the whimsy of his personal carousel, and fully immersing himself in his own theme park, Lulu World, which he designed in his own image. Responsibility is something he outright rejects, preferring to escape into his fantastical distractions whenever the harsh realities of life threatens to intrude.
Yep.
When things don't go his way, he sulks, pouts, erupts into destructive fits, like the infamous incident where he demolished an entire McDonald's.
Oh my god.
Simply because they forgot to include a toy in his Happy Meal.
Jesus.
More than just an amusement park, Lulu World is a reflection of Lucifer himself, a giddy, chaotic wonderland where he can indulge his whims without consequence. He visits frequently, reveling in its festivities, embracing his playful and immature nature to avoid the responsibilities he refuses to acknowledge. Thoughts?
That sounds terrible.
What do you mean, terrible?
This is a grown man.
How dare you?
And he's going around being like, there's no toy in my McDonald's.
How dare you?
What?
He's an ageless being.
Yeah, that acts like a child.
How dare you?
No wonder he got thrown in hell. Ooh.
Okay. Well, Lucifer's most defining trait is his overwhelming narcissism, hubris, and relentless obsession with himself. As the embodiment of the sin of pride, he radiates an extreme arrogance, thriving on worship and admiration of others.
Yep.
His fascination with his own beauty, power, and so-called quote-unquote wisdom is boundless.
Mm-hmm.
Feeding into his delusion that he surpasses even God himself. He truly believes all life is beneath him, refusing to acknowledge anything that contradicts his inflated self-image. One of the most blatant examples of his narcissism is his demand to be introduced by his heralds as the quote-unquote rightful ruler of the universe.
Wow.
He flaunts his status at every opportunity, plastering his insignia and likeness across hell, even going so far as to carve his face into mountains in a grandiose display reminiscent of Mount Rushmore, the capital of the Pride Ring, fittingly renamed the Circus, is a monument to his ego, packed with extravagant self-portraits and statues of himself. So it looks like in this one, the Pride Ring isn't called Pentagram City, I guess. The capital isn't Pentagram City.
I guess not. Is the capital Pentagram City in the show?
Yeah, they call it Pentagram City.
Oh.
And this one, in the non-canon, it's called the Circus.
Right.
So, yeah. Meanwhile, Lulu World, his personal theme park, is filled with biased scriptures and attractions that glorified his so-called greatness, further reinforcing his delusions. Lucifer's refusal to acknowledge his own flaws is a reoccurring theme. Whenever faced with criticism or failure, he instinctively shifts the blame onto others, shielding himself from the uncomfortable truth that he is not the supreme being he imagines himself to be.
Yeah. Yep.
His arrogance prevents him from confronting the darker aspects of his nature, allowing him to conveniently ignore reality whenever it conflicts with his self-serving desires.
He's what we would call Delulu.
Okay. Lucifer
Having
has
his delusion.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Lucifer has a well-known habit of hoarding anything that brings him joy, indulging in his whims with no restraint. His vast collection includes everything from grandiose statues of himself and mountains of caviar and carnival treats, with caviar mountains and champagne fountains.
And champagne fountains. I guess we do see some of that in the canon with his mountains of rubber ducks.
Okay. And also carousels. Among his most prized possessions, however, is his cherished rubber duck collection.
Ah, there it is, the rubber ducks.
Which he treats with an almost absurd level of reverence. If something amuses him, he doesn't just enjoy it. He stockpiles it in excess, surrounding himself with an overwhelming abundance of his favorite luxuries.
The biggest luxury of all, rubber duckies.
Now,
VeggieTales was right.
Okay. Are you gonna sing the song for me?
I don't remember how the song goes.
Okay.
My ducky. I don't know. I don't remember it.
And he sings about wanting a hairbrush, even though he doesn't have any hair.
But that's not from the episode that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so
I only said it because
you're
he's in the
wrong.
bathroom in that one.
Yes. Okay.
Now, despite his playful and jovial demeanor, Lucifer is capable of chilling levels of cruelty. Displaying a total lack of empathy when it suits him. He sees sinners as insignificant and beneath him, caring little for their suffering. Even after all this time, he still believes he was just fully justified in waging war against heaven, describing it as an act of quote-unquote righteous fury during a conversation with Lilith. His comedic facade is more than just an eccentricity. It's a calculated tool he wields with precision, lowering the guard of his enemies and unsuspecting public before revealing just how dangerous he truly is. At his worst, Lucifer is outright sadistic, reveling in the torment of his enemies with a disturbing level of glee. His reputation as Hell's Ringmaster isn't just theatrical. He earns it by putting on a grotesque spectacles of violence and terror. When he's not enjoying the extravagant attractions of Lulu World, he spends his spare time indulging in his darker hobbies, torturing prisoners, dissidents, and those who dare defy him. He takes a sick pleasure in mutilating his victims in bizarre and inventive ways, always with a cheerful smile and a steady stream of sadistic jokes. During these sessions, he has a habit of mockingly referring to his victims as friends, quote-unquote, chatting with them at an unsettlingly casual tone while subjecting them to horrors. He enjoys games of his own twisted design, such as replacing the victim's limbs with inanimate objects, dragging out their suffering for his own amusement. Every joke, every pun, every false display of camaraderie is carefully crafted to break his victims further, ensuring they feel every ounce of pain before he either executes them or lets them go shattered and barely alive once he has his fun.
Yikes.
What do you think, Kyle?
Well, we definitely don't see any of that.
I think the reason why we don't see any of that is because he won't be an endearing character.
Yeah, he wouldn't be endearing if that was the case.
Like, Charlie would not want to talk to him.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that when you're in like a location that's like hell, you really have to find a way to properly make the characters, like, they're not good people, but we have to like them. So maybe Lucifer isn't like the best person, but we can't see him torturing people with a smile on his face, because then we're not gonna like him as much.
Right. Like, even the characters within the Hazbin Hotel, their sins, the stuff they did, isn't that extreme.
Not that we've seen yet.
Like, we got the most extreme one is probably Alistair, who is a cannibalistic serial killer. But we don't really see him do.
Yeah, we haven't really seen him do anything so terrible that we're like, he's unredeemable.
Yeah. And then there's Angel Dust. He what does he do? He does drugs.
Drugs.
That's his thing.
Probably maybe like I don't know, shot some people or something. He was in the mob, right?
It was the mafia.
He was in the mafia.
But we never say what he does.
So I'm sure there was more to it than just doing drugs, but
we haven't seen it. Then there's also Husk. He's in the gambling addiction.
Addiction. That's right.
That's very mild. Pensius is a comical, like, evil villain, Saturday morning cartoon villain.
Yeah.
Which is kind of silly. Nifty, I guess.
We don't know what's going on with Nifty.
Well, Nifty is supposed to be like an insane person.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's it. That's everyone, right? Oh, I guess Cherry Bomb, who I think is into bombs.
She like exploded some things,
yeah.
Maybe.
And if you want to go with, I don't know what Vaggie did. If you want to say that she was a winner before,
well, she was an angel. So
there's some people who don't know. It's still up for debate whether she's a winner or Heavenborn.
Yeah.
But is that everybody? I think that's everyone.
I think so.
I mean, there's also the V's, which I have no idea.
Well. Based on how they are in death, they probably did some pretty bad stuff in life.
Yeah, no. I think Valentino might be a pimp or something.
He could have been a pimp in the real world.
Vox was I have no idea.
Some manipulative person. Probably.
And Velvet was I don't know.
I don't know. Some toxic Instagram queen or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then there's the other ones I don't know.
And the other ones we don't know about yet.
So let's talk about his Lucifer's God complex.
Let's.
And it's also his twisted worldview leave him utterly devoid of sympathy for his subjects. He actively works to ensure that the sinners of hell remain as miserable as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So constantly finding new ways, big or small, to make their existence even more unbearable.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, rather than maintaining order, he openly supports, enables, or even encourages the rampant horrors of hell. From murder and slavery to rape and endless turf wars.
Oh, God.
Every atrocity committed in his domain exists with his full approval. As he sees no reason to intervene. After all, to him they are nothing more than freaks who would deserve their suffering.
Yeah, so he's going the very laissez-faire style of governing.
So, a self-indulgent hedonist, Lucifer luxuriates in the excess of royal life, while the masses endure unthinkable conditions. He holds deep contempt for sinners, blaming them for ruining what he once envisioned as a quote-unquote fun hell, with their bitter, cynical outlooks. In his eyes, they have tainted his grand circus, and he delights in their suffering, as a form of punishment for failing to meet his expectations.
I see.
One of the most telling examples of his cruelty is his enthusiastic participation in the annual exterminations.
Wow, so he's even joining in on it. Crazy.
Not only does he join in on it, he was a co-founder and fervent supporter.
Oh, wow!
And he eagerly awaits the mass slaughter of sinners each year, treating it like prime entertainment.
Yeah, they definitely had to change that for the show.
From the comfort of his stronghold, he pulls up a chair, grabs a bucket of popcorn, and watches the carnage unfold with childlike glee, enjoying the massacre as if it were nothing but a well-produced puppet show. Yeah. If that was still there, Charlie would have been like, no, thank you.
I feel like Charlie would not want to interact with her dad if
that
were the case.
Vaggie probably not suggest him you gotta talk to your dad.
Yeah,
and she'd be like, no. I would absolutely be like, no, don't talk to him.
I'm never talking to my dad.
So Lucifer finds the idea of redemption not just irritating, but outright offensive. Mm-hmm. Seeing it as an unwanted disruption to the entertainment he is meticulously crafted in the form of hell. To him, hell isn't just a place of punishment, it's a twisted playground, an extravagant spectacle where sinners are meant to indulge in endless debauchery, chaos, and suffering under his rule. The notion that anyone would seek to escape his quote-unquote perfect experience infuriates him, as it challenges the very foundation of his warped vision. He firmly believes that hell provides an unparalleled sense of freedom, a place where individuals are unshackled from the rules and moral expectations imposed by heaven and earth. Right, Clara? In his mind, redemption is a meaningless pursuit, a betrayal of the world he has designed. Those who seek it are seen as ungrateful fools, disrupting the grand circus he has built for them. Instead of offering hope or reform, he prefers to keep sinners trapped in their vices, ensuring they never entertain the thought of leaving his domain.
Yeah, that's intense.
It is very intense. Now, despite his open contempt for sinners, Lucifer is fiercely possessive over them, determined to keep every last one trapped under his rule for as long as he reigns over hell. His control is absolute, and he has no intention of ever letting a single soul slip through his grasp. At one point, he makes his stance chillingly clear to Charlie. He would rather massacre every sinner in hell than allow even one to be redeemed and ascend to heaven.
Wow.
So
That's big yikes right
yeah,
there.
I know. But then Charlie's like, more than anything.
More than anything.
And then Lucifer's like, I understand now.
Yes.
You can do the
You
thing.
can do whatever you want.
So this obsession with dominion is precisely why sinners are confined to the pride ring. Now, the domain he personally oversees, it's not just about control, it's about ownership, Clara.
Of course.
Humans are God's most cherished creations, and by claiming their souls, Lucifer asserts his authority over what was once heaven's greatest prize. His fixation stems from his deep-seated belief that he should be the one to rule all of creation, not God. By keeping human souls under his rule, he satisfies both his need for power and his relentless desire to defy the divine order, ensuring that no sinner ever escapes his grasp. Pretty intense, right?
Yeah, no, this is really intense. It's way more than I thought.
How so, Clara?
I mean, it's just that's definitely like a prideful thing, you know, like you hate something so much and yet it's yours. So you're going to make sure nobody does anything to it.
Yeah, so he's definitely nowhere near as supportive as he is in the canon.
No.
They really needed to downplay his evilness.
Yes.
So...
Well, they needed to downplay his uncaringness.
But not his evilness. That needs to be played up.
No, they're tied together.
Okay. So let's talk about his deep-seated hatred for humanity, which dates all the way back to their very creation. An animosity that only grew as God's love for them began to overshadow his love for Lucifer. To him, humanity represents the fundamental betrayal, an inferior design that not only failed to meet his lofty standards, but also became the favored children of heaven. His resentment reached its breaking point when God commanded the angels to revere humans even more than himself, solidifying Lucifer's disdain for mankind. This hatred exceeds naturally to the sinners of hell, if they are darned souls of the very creatures he despises. He tolerates their existence only as long as they remain under his control, but his immediate goal is far more severe if he ever regains entry to heaven.
What's his immediate goal?
He plans to eradicate every last sinner and reshape the universe into his quote-unquote perfect vision, free of any trace of humanity.
Dang.
To ensure that humans continue down the path of corruption, Lucifer frequently tasks Hell's elite, particularly the Ars Goetia. with interfering in the mortal world. Their mission is clear: make human lives as miserable as possible and push them further into sin, securing their damnation. His contempt for humanity also fuels his cruelty towards Cambions, which is the hybrid offspring of humans and demons, which we have not seen yet.
We have not seen that, no.
Deeming them too human to be worthy of true demonic status, he sanctioned their enslavement, allowing his underlings to exploit and abuse them into the brink of extinction. Their fate would have been sealed had it not been for Charlie in the Hazbin Hotel, who intervened to freed the surviving Cambions from their tormentors, defying Lucifer's wishes in the process. So, yeah, do you think we should see the Cambions?
I do think it'd be interesting. But I don't know how they're going to do that and keep Lucifer likable.
Well, we don't have to do the extinction bit.
No, we don't have to, but I feel like if we haven't seen them yet, there's like a reason. Like, is it going to be one of those situations where he's like, you know, they're just, you know, they're not demons, they're not humans, so what are they?
Yeah. It is. We could stand to reason that a sinner could probably impregnate a hellborn like an imp.
Yeah.
So we know that sinners probably can't reproduce, but we know that imps can.
Yes.
So it could stand to reason that somewhere down the line a sinner did get with an imp, and now the imp is impregnated.
Mm-hmm.
And then where we could get a Cambion.
Yeah.
Which I think it would be pretty interesting to see.
It could be interesting.
So, beneath Lucifer's whimsical and theatrical exterior lies a dangerously volatile temper, Clara.
Mm-hmm.
Capable of exploding into murderous rage at the slightest provocation.
Yes.
Challenges to his abilities, authority, or even the faintest hint of defiance can send him into a violent fury. Though he is aware of this flaw and occasionally attempts to restrain himself, his success is inconsistent at best. More often than not, his temper flares uncontrollably, leaving devastation in its wake, Clara.
Yeah.
His spitefulness and thirst for vengeance are boundless, particularly toward those he perceives as having wronged him. In his warped worldview, opposition is not just an insult. It is an unforgivable crime. Those who dare question his will or challenge his rule are, in his eyes, deserving of nothing less than relentless punishment and unending suffering.
Wow.
This erratic and often terrifying unpredictability has instilled a deep sense of fear among his servants and subordinates. They tread carefully in his presence, constantly mindful of their words and actions to avoid triggering his wrath. No one is ever truly safe from his explosive outbursts, and the looming threat of his temper serves as a grim reminder that beneath the charm and spectacle, Lucifer is a force of chaos and destruction willing to be unleashed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, Lucifer also harbors a barely concealed Napoleon complex. You know what that is?
Short.
Yeah, it does. That has something to do with it. What else does it
mean? French.
No.
No. You know, he's short. So, I don't know.
A Napoleon complex is people who are short or below average height seem to be a lot more aggressive and angry.
But Napoleon wasn't that short, was he?
No, that's just propaganda. He was actually average height.
Yeah.
But that's just what it's called.
That's just what it's called, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes, okay, I understand now. I remember what a Napoleon complex is.
Yes. So he compensates for his relatively short stature by exerting dominance and instilling fear in others. His need to overcompensate is evident in the elaborate ways he tries to appear taller, such as standing on the backs of his servants when imposing for family portraits, just to match the height of Charlie and Lilith. His insecurity is further highlighted by Fergus's offhand remark about the towering height of his castle, an unsubtle reflection of Lucifer's tendency to exaggerate his grandeur. And that's right, we just finally name-dropped our favorite character, Fergus.
Fergus, I love Fergus!
Now, his narcissism fuels his overcompensation, manifesting in his excessive self-aggrandizement throughout hell. His face is plastered across the realm, his name spoken with reverence or fear, all reinforcing his desperate need for validation. Perhaps the most blatant example of his ego is the King of Hell statue in the center of Pentagram City. Okay, I guess there is Pentagram City.
No, I guess so.
An absurdly oversized monument, nearly half the height of a large building, meant to project an image of power and authority that his physical stature fails to provide. No matter how much he tries to mask it with grandeur, his insecurity remains an ever-present force, driving his relentless pursuit of dominance. So, yeah.
I don't think we see that much in the... He seems fine with being short.
Okay. Now, doesn't, Angel Dust make a comment about it?
Yeah, he does. He says, I thought he'd be taller.
I thought he'd be taller.
But he doesn't. It doesn't seem like he tries to make himself taller in pictures and stuff because he seems like his normal height.
Yeah.
In the portraits.
I'm like, I thought you'd be taller. Yeah, I bet you did.
That's not good.
It's a good impression.
It is not.
Now, while Lucifer was openly cruel to his enemies, his allies and subordinates often fared no better. He ruled entirely through fear, ensuring that even those closest to him never felt secure. His preferred method of control was cheerful intimidation, toying with his associates, psychologically, constantly reminding them that their loyalty meant nothing in the face of his power. With a smile on his face and a joke on his lips, he would make it clear that he could and would destroy anyone who displeased him.
Mm-hmm.
Treacherous by nature, Lucifer had no qualms about betraying his most devoted followers. This was brutally demonstrated in his treatment of Fergus, a once loyal ally who was mutilated and discarded the moment Lucifer deemed him obsolete.
Fergus, no.
Despite Fergus's unwavering loyalty, even his willingness to die for the King of Hell, Lucifer not only betrayed him, but had his entire family slaughtered. No. Making it clear that no amount of service could ever guarantee safety.
No.
Beyond his personal betrayals, Lucifer took sadistic pleasure in manipulating the power dynamics of hell itself. He deliberately stirred conflicts between hell's overlords, keeping them in a perpetual state of rivalry for his favor. Mm-hmm. He orchestrated these conflicts like a child playing with action figures, reveling in the chaos purely of his own entertainment. So...
Wow. He's definitely a lot more conniving.
Yeah. So Lucifer is also the master of emotional manipulation.
What a bastard.
You can't say that.
I can.
Frequently using abusive tactics to control those around him. While he claims to love Charlie and insists that he tried to be a good father, their relationship was deeply dysfunctional for most of her life. He often belittled her, calling her a failure and an embarrassment, emotionally tearing her down while masking his cruelty with mean-spirited jokes. Mm-hmm. Whether out of obliviousness or apathy, he never seemed to grasp the true impact of his words.
Grasp?
Yeah.
The true impact?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Of his words. Well, you said something a little different, but that's okay.
What did I say?
You say you grasp.
No, do not. Though their friendship eventually mended, mm-hmm. Lucifer's intentions were never truly paternal. He didn't see Charlie as a daughter to be nurtured, but as a tool to ensure his control remained absolute. Jeez. His ultimate goal was to mold her into a tyrant in his own image, a ruler, just as ruthless as he was. He wanted her to take the throne and maintain the Morningstar family's grip over hell, ensuring that every demon remained firmly under their dominion. In the end, his love for her was always conditional, rooted not in genuine care, but in his own desire for power and legacy. Mm-hmm. Which does not seem to have...
It didn't seem to have any effect on her.
It didn't seem to translate into the canon.
Oh, yeah, no, it did not at all.
Because... we've seen different bits and pieces of Lucifer and Charlie as a child and he seems to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But in this one, he's like, I hate you, Charlie.
He's like, Charlie, I've never loved you. I just wanted to use you as a pawn in my games.
So what do you think, Clara? We'll end it for there today.
Okay.
So what do you think about non-canon Lucifer compared to canon Lucifer?
I think that if they went more in this direction, I think that Lucifer would not be very well liked.
They would.
I think it wouldn't make any sense for Charlie to want anything to do with him.
Right.
Just based on how she is and how she's portrayed. I do think in terms of the non-canon, like in terms of how Charlie is, I feel like instead of her becoming that tyrant that he had wanted her to be, instead she got all of the good parts of himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is like, you know, she still has that childlike quality.
Yeah.
But she wants to use it for kindness and for helping people, as opposed to that sort of childlike quality of wanting everything to be done your way.
Yeah. So.
And she still is very, like, set in what her way is.
Right.
It's just that her way is a lot nicer.
Right. And so how would you compare, how would you compare, the non-canon Lucifer with the canon Lucifer?
Well,
I think no one is going to be making any cool fan art of non-canon Lucifer.
No, probably not. But I mean, what does even non-canon Lucifer look like?
He looks exactly the same.
He looks exactly the same, exactly. So unless people are really into cruelty, I don't think anybody's gonna be
So what?
making much stuff for it.
So
no.
do you prefer non-canon Lucifer or canon Lucifer?
No, I prefer canon Lucifer.
How dare you? He doesn't even do a torture.
I don't want that. Does it make more sense for the King of Hell to be a tyrant, to be malicious, to torture people? Yes, that makes sense. But in the terms of keeping the show palatable for wider audiences...
For wider audiences?
Wide.
Okay.
With a D. Wider audiences.
Okay.
Don't turn this into something it's not.
Okay.
In terms of that, it makes much more sense for him to be the way that he is now.
Yes. All right. So yeah, that's all we can talk about today. We'll continue. We'll pick up where we left off. We still have more to say about Lucifer,
all right.
Non-canon.
Very exciting.
Because, well, it's a lot.
Because the non-canon is always a lot.
Yes. I've been Nathaniel Avila.
And I've been Clara Avila.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to a Vision podcast, home of wacky talkies, the kingdom, evil exists, and many more.